to plan. Um, we did go live roughly about 10 minutes ago, ahead of schedule, but we encountered some technical difficulties. It wouldn't be a new platform change this season without technical difficulties. I feel like we had 4 or 5 podcasts where something went wrong, or I didn't select the right mic, or it's a good job we don't do this full time, mate, because I think we'd have had the Kit Kat by now. Yeah, as you can see. Well, as you can hear, I am joined by Dave Azzopardi. Dave, how are you, sir? You feeling good, man? You feeling?
I'm in a good mood, man. No, I'm good. I think I've got a bit of the flu, and it should be my day off today, but I've been at work all day because been having some new stuff fitted. So I've been up since 4, been at work since 8, got back about 20 minutes ago. So I am shattered, but thankfully because the Wolves won, and it's looking like a productive transfer window. Yeah, hopefully it's going to be a good day and a good podcast. And there we go with the first comment of the stream. Neil, good old Neil.
Good pod, Dave. Yeah, well, the technical difficulties, we can blame Dave then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
all
you
your fault, mate. Uh, how was Saturday? You seem like you enjoyed it on the review, mate. You Aston Villa Champions League were having a laugh. People thought you'd been on
yeah.
the lash all day.
Yeah, I actually had at that point I had one beer. I wasn't intoxicated because I'd finished work, got to the ground a little bit early. I texted out a couple of my mates to see where they were drinking, and no one replied. So I text Joe, who we were hoping he
Last
could be on the
resort,
podcast.
always last resort, mate.
No. And he was in Bohemian, so I went there, had a lager. The service there was awful. They had a Guinness, probably the worst Guinness pour we've ever seen ever. But yeah, so at that point, when I did the review, I'd only actually had one beer. But afterwards, I did go to Weatherspoons after the game and didn't drink. I was driving, so I didn't drink too much. Well under the limit, may I add. So yeah,
Before you
all good.
incriminate yourself.
Yeah, exactly that.
I believe you got to do a shout out to someone.
Yeah, I do actually. Thanks for reminding it. Vernon, we met him in. I kept calling him Bernard. I thought he said his name was Bernard. So sorry, because Joe kept going Vernon. I was like, I swear he said his name was Bernard. But no, Vernon, we met him and spoke to in Weatherspoons for a short while. But yeah, really nice guy, and yeah, Wolves fan for many years. Told me his earliest Wolves memory was an FA Cup game when they played third division Bournemouth, and Wolves lost as per usual, and he cried all the way home. But they're
Really,
the stories we love to hear. So
I
yeah, it was
think
lovely to meet you.
I do love hearing stories like that, and I remember when I first met Finn, he was telling me of earliest his earliest Wolves memory. He said it was a great day. It was a 2-2 draw at home to Everton. Jimenez scored and never scored from a free kick.
Yeah, sounds
So
about
yeah,
right.
it's good. Yeah, it's good to hear people's first games. Do you remember your first game,
I remember it probably wasn't my
or do
first
you know
game.
what it is?
My earliest memory of going to Wolves was a game away, and no, a game at home against Burnley, and I think we won 2-0. But the earliest memory I've got, I remember I was there, but the earliest memory I physically got of being at Molineux, we drew 2-2 in Norwich, and I think it was a crap game, and Norwich went 2-1 up in like the 90th minute, and I was with my granddad, and he said, "Sod this, we're going." And as we were outside Molineux by Billy Wright, you know the goal music, you know the old
Yeah, yeah,
Talking
yeah.
Wolves favourite.
Tom Hark.
And I said,
Yeah.
"Oh, I said to my granddad, I think we've scored." He goes, "No, we haven't. It's just like the full time music." And then he goes, "Go for Wolves, Leon Clark," like early Leon Clark days. I was like, "Yeah." So yeah, I've tried. I've never found the highlights of that. They probably are on YouTube nowadays, but that's my earliest memory with my granddad anyway. Plastic going home early.
Can you remember your first away game?
Yeah, this was good. It was much later though. It was under Solbakken, my first away game. When we beat Bristol City 4-1 away. Yeah, we beat Bristol City 4-1, and it was who scored
Oh,
now?
nice.
Yeah, front four of Sacco, Doyle, Ebanks, Blake, and Sigurdarsson. Serious little front line that was. So
Mm. I think my first away game, from what I remember, was Coventry away,
yeah,
and it was an evening game. I'm just trying to have a look at the. Yeah, I've got it now. The 2006-2007 season, we lost 2-1. Kitely scored, and then for Carl Elliott Ward and Didi Adebola, I hope
I
he's
think we've
managed
had
to
this
get over it.
conversation recently, or at least we've had this conversation before, haven't we?
So I can't remember. Yeah, but I can't remember my actual first game. Obviously, I don't think many people could, but I think earliest memories. is, I think, against Coventry as well. Again, Neil Collins scored like a 97th minute header winner at home. I remember
Mm.
being in WL9. That's where I used to sit in the family enclosure and remember going mental. But anyhow, what do you want to talk about first? Do you want to talk about the Villa game? Do you want to talk about signings?
Um,
It is transfer deadline day. We are only doing it an hour. We're not doing the full shebang like we used to do. But it feels like it's going to be a fairly busy evening for Wolves, albeit we know exactly what's going to happen.
yeah, no, it looks good, and it's sod's law that we're not doing the deadline day podcast. I apologise. There were a lot of people asking if we were doing a live show for deadline day, but firstly, as you've already seen, we've had a few technical difficulties with our new recording software. But also, whenever we do it, I always seem like we're there for 4 hours and we talk about the stuff that we need to talk about in 20 minutes, and it's just like filling time. People seem to love it, though, to be fair. Um, but no, it seems productive. I think the win on Saturday has helped Wolves a hell of a lot in this. I think there's certain rumours or certain things that have happened, i.e., the Danso deal. I think if we picked up that news after we'd lost to Villa, for argument's sake, it would have been Chernobyl Wolves on the social media. It would have been a horrible, horrible place to be on. So I think the fact that we've won and we seem to be getting the targets that we need to get to strengthen the squad. I think it's been a productive couple of days. I think, look, people will moan that it's taken so long, but the January window is so tough. So I think you just got to take your hat off to Wolves that you've kept your best player and he signed a new deal, and they've still got two players in positions that we need to. So yeah.
Yeah, just one here for Matt about first games. Going back to that first game as a pre-season with Villa, we pummeled them all game and lost something like 6-1. They had 6 shots and 6 goals, something like that.
I don't remember that one. That must have
Nah,
been years ago. We did play them at Molineux when we were in the championship at one point, and I think we had a close game. I beat them 2-1 actually in a pre-season game.
yeah, we
Can't
were
remember
playing.
winning
We
2-1.
used to play them a fair bit when they
Them
were.
and Warsaw.
Yeah. Question here from Sing Wolves. Where's Jord the Chief? I believe is he South Africa, isn't he?
I think George's in South Africa. Yeah, he did say he could potentially come on, but I think with this podcast, it's hard to just get people in and out all the time. So yeah, but yeah, he's in South Africa, I believe.
Yeah,
He's always abroad. He loves it.
he does. He does. I don't know where he gets his dough from. It must be some illicit means because he's always traveling now. He just travel a lot for work. Yeah, it could be a busy deadline day, couldn't it? As you just said, Dave. I, I think we were almost expecting at least one anyway, a centre half. And then obviously the news has broke today that it's going to be a central midfielder and a centre half. I'm a bit gutted they haven't gone in for another forward, if I'm totally honest.
I agree.
I think the Villa game has almost papered over the cracks somewhat. I thought they were excellent for what it was worth. But if you go back to before that Villa game, we were all screaming out that we needed another forward. So yeah, a bit disappointed with that. However, there's still time to go, but I think it's unlikely. With Wolves officials have now arrived in Paris to begin medicals for Menezzi and Jigger.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with Nasser Jigger, mate, from Red Star Belgrade, big centre half. I'm a big fan of us building a bigger side.
Yeah.
Especially with such a, it feels like there's an even bigger emphasis put on set pieces now. It always has been, but the top teams are. It used to be the lesser teams used to use it as almost like a leveler, whereas now the top teams use it as an advantage. Wolves have been particularly poor this season and the previous season from set pieces. I don't know. It's not all about height, but Jigger is 6'4". He's a big old boy, Burkina Faso international. Been at Red Star Belgrade a couple of years. Only recently signed a new deal as well. Champions League football experience for 11 to 12 million quid, Dave. Pretty risk free.
Yeah, I think I actually like this deal a lot. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I've watched loads of him because I haven't, but I think Champions League experience he's played. He's been pretty much ever present for Red Star. You look at their form as well this season. I think they're unbeaten in the league so far this season. It's a division that they are one of the stronger teams in, but he's been very very solid in that. A lot of their fans seem to be upset that he's moving on. I think it'll be close to a record sale for them. So I think it's a bid they sort of we're going to always be tempted to accept. And I don't think this is necessarily a panic buy for Wolves because I'm fairly certain we were linked in the summer or much earlier this month as well. Um, I think this has got the potential to be a very good piece of business. I'm not going to say completely risk free because you're still paying 10 million quid for him, but I think in terms of business, it's certainly a player where I think at such a young age you're going to make money on if you ever were to look to sell him. So I'm a fan of this piece of business. I think he's got the quality on the ball, like you said, adds some much needed height, and will probably come in to make hopefully that back three a lot stronger.
Just talking about that back three, Dave. I think coming into this window, we were saying we didn't have anywhere near enough centre halves. If you zoom out a little bit and presume everyone's fit, you got Craig Dawson, you've got Totti, you've got Santiago Bueno, you've got Agbadu, you've got Jigger, you've got Doc who can play there. Is there anyone else? That's it, isn't there? So there's five centre halves. I'm not missing anyone, am I? No.
Moypew, did you say?
Moy Pugh as well, sorry.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he hasn't as a kick. But
Yeah.
you would expect Bueno or well, Dawson will go at the end of the season, but do you think there could be movement with Bueno as well? Could Mascara coming back as well?
Yeah, maybe in the summer. I think
Yeah. Yeah,
I
not
said
now.
I said to somebody earlier on today. They said, "Do you think there'll be any surprise sales?" And I said, "This is way before the Dawson." I think Craig Dawson could potentially go. I saw there was some very soft links with him and West Ham a week or so ago. So the Leicester one didn't surprise me as such. I think it surprised me the whole potentially Cody coming back and potentially going to sort of a relegation rival as such. But it doesn't surprise me that he was going to move on. I think he's still good enough to be playing football, but maybe not in our team. We need a bit more pace. We need a bit more athleticism. So yeah, I think Bueno's an interesting one. I think he's done Santi Bueno this season. I think he's done okay, but it's quite telling that at the first opportunity, Vitor's dropped him, and Gary O'Neill wasn't necessarily a fan either. So did we have him under Lopetegui as well for a short while? No,
No, I don't
no, we
think
didn't. Yeah,
no,
so
it's only been
O'Neill
Sunday, no.
O'Neill never fancied him, and he's not really pulled up much trees under Vitor. So it wouldn't surprise me maybe in the summer that we look for a move away. And obviously the club were open to potentially letting him go in the summer on loan as well.
Yeah.
Last summer.
I think what you said there, we need a player with a bit more pace, athleticism, and probably what they've gone in for Cody. Because he might know someone.
Yeah. I am so surprised at how welcoming Wolves fans are to that deal, and not that I'm not, but I really expected with that news to come out, a good 75% of Wolves fans to say, "What the hell are we doing?" But there were so many fans warming to the idea. I think if Jiga hadn't signed and Cody was the centre back coming in, I think it would be World War III. But honestly, I was pleasantly surprised by that as well. I really was.
Yeah, I just had a message here from Shane. He said, "Hello, Matt. Don't know if you remember me. I'm Shane, the Taiwanese guy you met at Molineux 2 seasons ago. It was Everton the last day of the season. I do remember that. I met him in a concourse. A lovely chap. That game, some Everton fans were in front of me, and they celebrated because they scored like last minute, didn't they?
Oh yeah, that was so frustrating. That
Yeah,
game, yeah.
and they like turned around and gave it loads, and I completely lost my head.
Why? Because that kept them up pretty much, didn't they?
Yeah,
Didn't it?
yeah. I proper lost it with him. To be honest, I wasn't proud of it. But you know, you just like filled with rage when someone's like in your face like that, going like. And I'd not said anything to him all game. And I was with my mate next to me, who's a toffee as well, who's got the thicky Scouse accent. And yeah, it was. I lost my head. And the steward said he watches Talking Wolves, and he said, you know, just calm down a bit next time. He said you can't let him get to you. But I just completely lost.
You blocked off the channel, mate.
Yeah. See you later, son. But I wasn't. I know it doesn't look like it's going to happen now with the Cody links, but I'm surprised that people turning it down. I'm a bit opposite to you because I think no one's under any illusion that he's going to come in and like take the armband and play every
question
single.
Somebody asked me though if he came in because Vitor's not really obviously Semedo's captain at the moment, but sort of on that's just on sort of merit really. But would Cody come in and take the armband? It would be intriguing. Obviously, it's not going to happen, but it would be an intriguing situation.
Yeah, it's what I meant more so is that he's going to come in and get loads of game time, like,
Oh
as
yeah,
you've
no,
as you
that's true.
seen with our previous interviews with name drop John Ruddy, Romain Sace, they are whew, back in the day. Why don't players want to talk to us now? Might
We've
be able
asked
to
like,
get
to be fair, who have we got? Barry Douglas was meant to come on and then just aired us ever since. He said, yeah, when do you want to do it? And just
Andy
never replies.
Keogh, Christoph Berra, yeah, them two, yeah, never. I did listen to a podcast with Barry Douglas on the other day, actually.
Under the
Uh,
Cosh, was it?
yeah,
He was
what a
good. He's got a
strange accent.
accent. Yeah, he's got a weird
Oh,
accent, doesn't
he's all over the gaff.
he? Yeah, I know.
But yeah, if you listen to those podcasts, they talk about how important it is to have characters in the dressing room, and Wolves got rid of a lot of those in a very short space of time. And as I said with the Ben Foster podcast I listened to a couple of weeks ago, he said you can have the best tactician, the best facilities, whatnot, but he said a dressing room, if it's rotten, will take you down. It doesn't matter who the coach is, who the director of football is. If your dressing room is rotten and doesn't have strong characters in, it's a recipe for disaster.
Mm.
But just some breaking news. Talking Wolves, breaking news.
Mm.
As per Liam Keane, the start, Manetzi and Giga deals are off. Jeff Jeff Shee has decided to pull the plug and is investing into an esports stadium just off the ring road. No, it's to clarify that Manetzi will be signing a 3.5-year deal with an option of a further year, and Nasser Jiga is set to sign a 4.5-year deal with an option of a further year. And he expects those two to be the final incoming to Wolves on transfer deadline day. So unfortunately, no Connor Cody. But I was more than happy with that link because I've seen a lot of people talk about how he spoke about Wolves once he left Everton, saying he was desperate to join Everton. But from what I understand it, and maybe what you understand it, Dave, is that he didn't really want to leave Wolves, but he was kind of almost cast aside.
Yeah, I think it's twofold really. He knew that he was in the England fold as well at that point under Southgate, and ultimately, if he was just going to be sat on our bench because Bruno Lage wanted to swap to a back four, he would not have that opportunity. So I think he was moved on really for Wolves from a loyalty point of view, saying, "Yeah, you deserve that opportunity," and that's why he moved on loan to Everton. Sorry, so yeah, I think for the next 6 months, him behind the scenes would have been great for us, but. Yeah, it's a shame that it's obviously not going to happen this time around.
It had the vibes of when people say get Matinho in as O'Neill's number 2.
As if he's not still playing for Braga. He's just been
Yeah, like
packed up
every
as his
single
deal.
week.
Yeah. I know.
I'm sure the allure of working with fucking teammate Gary O'Neill was just too much to leave Sonny Braga. Well, say Sonny Braga. I'm not convinced it is Sonny after our.
Oh my god, yeah, Braga that was probably the worst weather. I don't think I've ever seen weather that bad in England. That was horrific.
This is a good point. It's something we discussed on the pod, and I am shocked he's gone to Burnley. He's definitely gone now, hasn't
Yeah, it's confirmed today, Marcus Edwards.
he?
I
Yeah.
don't know. I think there must be a reason why Premier League teams haven't gone through. I just don't. I don't know because the deal seemed too good not to jump at. So I don't know. I don't know if it was an attitude problem, quality problem. Because again, I'm not going to sit here and say I've watched loads of the Portuguese league over the last 12 months, but 18 months, 2 years ago, it looked like a world beater, didn't it?
Yeah, he did. Someone's asked a question there. I know I was surprised at Marcus Edwards around Doyle and Booby, whether they might go out on loan. With Lemina going to Galatasaray, all but confirmed, and the new lad coming in, I think it's probably going to be one in, one out, isn't it? Really, I don't think there's a.
Probably, I think that was always the plan, but then I think and we'll come on to the Villa game in a bit. I think Jean Richner's performance has maybe thrown a spanner in the works a little bit, but I mean it's very, very early days with that. But you add him into it. I think he's found possibly his best position for Wolves. So.
Yeah, Tim Searfoss should have gone in after Disassi. I think the issue with Disassi is, although Wolves said they're interested in him, and they were really, really interested in him when he was at Monaco before he went to Chelsea. This was like 2 or 3 years ago. When you've got clubs like Spurs and Villa after you, Wolves come in. It's almost. Unless he's 4th, 5th, 6th choice for Spurs and Villa, you aren't going to get him.
The
Plus,
issue
have you
as
ever seen
well,
him play? Because he's absolute pony.
Yeah, the issue was that he always said from day one that he wanted to join Villa as soon as they were interested. So if all of a sudden Villa pull out the deal and then he joins Wolves, you know you're going to be second choice. And that was the issue with the Danso deal as well. Look, it was great when we had the deal agreed for Danso, but in hindsight now, if you believe the reports, he's now rejected us twice. And I think Wolves were actually sort of glad that they knew before he even walked through the door that this is the character that he was, because if he rocked up and he really wasn't arsed and thought, oh shit, I wish I waited to and joined Spurs whilst he's holding a Wolves shirt, then it's just a recipe for disaster. So I'm sure Wolves are glad they knew at 10 o'clock on Saturday rather than at 9 a.m. on Sunday when he rocked up at Compton.
Yeah, I think as well. It's Wolves probably are because of his character, but I mean, in your personal opinion, Dave, have you ever pulled out of something and you've been glad to do so?
I beg your pardon. Next
any
question.
exact next question? No comment. Oh, that night in Braga was magical, wasn't it, Dave? I think we saw so many reports saying that Danso had rejected us, which again, it's a lot of it is paper talk. But I think in this scenario, Dave, you could probably bet your bottom dollar that was the case, that he just did not want to join Wolves. And if I'm totally honest, I can't blame him. I know some fans are saying, "Oh, like you just said, oh, kind of dodge a bullet." And I guess we'll never know. We could go to Spurs and tear it up. My bet is with Romero and Van der Ven fit. When he is fit, he won't be playing.
Yeah.
But you don't really want characters like that, do you? We've had many a player who we feel like we're doing them a favour. Many a manager where we feel like we're doing them a favour. And in the end, it does end in tears. So you can't really point the finger at the club either for not getting that one over the line. And to be fair, I didn't see many comments pointing the finger at the club for that.
No, again, I go back to the fact that it's because we won against Villa. I can guarantee if we lost that game, it would have been disastrous. But I think possibly not enough praise has gone to the club where I know it's probably easy to say, well, they've left it till the last day, but
Everyone has
reacted. They've reacted, though, Wolves have. Like, they've had someone lined up, and within 24 hours, there were already links to new defenders and another midfielder, and it looks like they're both going to get over the line. So this is why it's so important to wait until the final day of a transfer window before you judge it. Look, I know it's frustrating to leave it late, but ultimately you just got to wait for those dominoes to fall, and that's just how it seems to happen, especially in the winter window.
I think a lot of players and a lot of clubs are almost leaving it to last minute to almost edge the bet to see if anything better comes up. And when you're not
offers and stuff,
when you're not a big fish in the pond like Wolves are, we're a medium-sized Premier League team who fight in relegation, have been the last 2-3 seasons. Players, unless they're coming from a league like, I don't know, the Serbian league or the Austrian league, for example, with the new centre halves coming in, they're not jumping to come to Wolves because they don't pay fantastic money.
Yeah.
So you'd have to wait a little bit, and as you've seen today, it's panic stations for everyone. There's going to be so many deals go through today, and so many deals that are the last like 2 to 3 days. It's not just Wolves who are leaving it to the last minute. I think it's decided by the market. But I completely echo the frustration of we know what position we're in. We may have to pay over the odds a little bit just to get someone in through the door early, which I did with Agbadu.
I think they have with the other lad as well, the midfielder as well. I think they've paid way over the odds for him. But ultimately, that's the price you pay when you're struggling. You're desperate almost. You have to pay those sort of fees.
But on Agbadu, I thought against Bristol City, I thought, he did all right. I was thinking, oh God. And against Newcastle, I thought,
he's got better and better, hasn't he?
I'm not too sure about this now. Yeah, he's getting plaudits already from your tacticos on Twitter, which is usually a bad sign. But he's receiving plaudits from not just Wolves fans. He's almost got that, and it's going to be a stretch, like that Van Dijk aura when players just get towards him and think, don't really fancy this because you're not going to dribble past him, or what players do when they play Spurs, where they'll peel off onto Romero, who I think is a better than Van der Ven, but for pace and physicality, you're not going to be able to match him. The question here from James. Great seeing you tonight. So get these last two through the door. How are we rating the window? Would you like to see another number 9 to challenge Jurgen Strand Larsen?
Yeah. I think that's a fair point. I think I was impressed with Guedes' performance at centre forward. I know he should have put at least one of those chances away, and I know it's so easy to maybe get a little bit overexcited about one performance, but I think Gedge did really well in that sort of central forward role. Maybe a proper number 9 would have been nice. I think with the way the Wolves squad registrations geared up, they'd sort of backed into a corner a little bit in regards to who they could have got. I think the window's got to be a solid 7 for me. I think you consider the players that filled the positions they've needed to, albeit a little bit later than planned. Like I said earlier, you've signed your best player onto a new deal and kept him. Seems like he's a little bit happier by the full-time whistle against Villa. And you've brought in another midfielder for someone who's been like a little crybaby for the last month. So hopefully, it's productive. Look, it's easy to say, but yeah, a 7 out of 10, I think is more than fair.
Matthew said my friend is a big sporting fan, and apparently Marcus Edwards' attitude is atrocious. I think that's fairly well documented, but in terms of specifics, I weren't sure what it was. But yeah, perhaps that is the reason why. Because it only felt a couple of years ago that he'd been linked with back at Spurs, Chelsea, United, Arsenal. They were quoting 55, 60 million, which I believe was his release clause. So
there's some mad pull in the championship though this window. Some of the players that have gone there, it's quite
Illing
impressive.
Jr., Sir Middlesbrough, I saw earlier as well.
Yeah, they signed, or they were going to sign Iheanacho as well. Look, I don't think they're Premier League quality at the moment, but I think in terms of reputation, so some really impressive signings.
Yeah, let's get Jonathan David still with the we linked with him ages ago. I don't think you've got a chance now.
I think his ceiling's higher than Wolves, to be honest, or his level is higher than Wolves as well.
Yeah, just having a scroll through some of the questions. Before we go on to some more questions, let's talk the Wolves captain or former captain, Mario Lemina, Dave. Well, we can't say we weren't warned, really.
It's a shame, and we have had it a couple of times, where fans say something about a certain player, and you've got your sort of old gold tinted glasses on, and you think, nah, it's like, we'll judge him in a Wolves shirt. And to be fair to Mario, for about 18 months he's been golden, and he's given us some very good moments. But I don't know what's happened this year. I don't know if the captain's armband was too much of a weight on his shoulders. I just don't know. The potential of relegation just sort of got on top of him. But his attitude has been very, very disappointing. I think Vitor has been refreshingly honest about the situation, which probably hasn't helped Mario much. But I think fair play to Wolfsford sort of getting this done, because the Turkish window is open for another week. And I think if that was still lurking, they could have played us about a lot more, because, the Turkish window is still open, this time next week. They say, well, no one else is going to buy him, and they end up getting a cut price deal. So I think Wolves have done quite well if that deal is confirmed by the end of today. I think some people may look at the fee and think it's really low, but ultimately you got a player coming up to the end of his deal, doesn't want to be here, get him off the wage bill, get a bit of money back, and happy days. But yeah, like I said, some good memories of Mario, but just a real sour taste with how it's ended and how he's acted, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think Dawson's gone over with him today as well to have his barnet done. So, I won't be
and Nunes has gone over for his teeth as well.
Oh dearie me, yeah, it's gone sour very quickly, hasn't it, with Lemina? It's been handled absolutely pathetically by him. I suppose there's always two sides to every story, but I think he'd hung his hat on a move to Saudi and almost convinced himself that he was going to go, and you can't begrudge him for that at his age. But in a time where Wolves needed him most, he went into hiding. I know that Vitor Pereira gave him a chance against Forest, and he completely let him down. And I think he listened to what the Express and Star were saying. That was Vitor saying, "Okay, well,
I didn't actually think he was that bad in that game." And he wasn't. I don't think there was like no one covered themselves in glory, but I saw a couple of comments about his performance. I didn't think he was awful that game. He did stroll around the pitch like he didn't really want to be there, but I don't think he was like. I don't think he dropped a stinker. But
it was poor, not up to his normal standards. But
yeah.
Wolves have, supported him through quite a lot the last couple of years. Obviously, losing his father December time, wasn't it? January, December time, something like that.
Yeah.
Last year,
just over 12 months. Yeah.
Brought his brother in to Wolves, which I think was an emotional addition rather than someone who could improve the first team, just to help each other. And this is really how you get repaid. Wolves fans have absolutely idolised this bloke for the last couple of years. And don't get me wrong, he's had some fantastic games for us. But to do this, yeah, it doesn't sit right with me. But I suppose a leopard never changes his spots, does he?
No, there's much better ways to go about stuff. Like if he wants to leave, fair enough, but you do it in a respectful and a proper manner, especially for a club that have given you a lot over the last sort of nearly 2 years. So, all you got to do is speak to the club, say you want to move on, and that's fine. But
Mhm.
don't act like the way and don't throw your toys at the pram after a defeat against West Ham because everyone looked to that game. And all of a sudden, there's a lot of pressure on you because you've got so many neutral eyes on the team saying, "Flipping heck, what's going on down at Wolves?" And then we embarrassed ourselves even further the following week when we did the same against Ipswich as a club. So, um, it's disappointing how it's ended. It really has, unfortunately, and it's unfortunate because, like I said, some good moments with him, some great, brilliant goals, some brilliant man of the match performances. I think one of his best performances for me was against Fulham. We beat them at home, and he
Yeah.
played up front or on the left wing. He played everywhere. And he's absolutely unbelievable. That was a real top performance. Real, showed a lot of grit. But yeah, the way he's acted is disappointing. I'm sure he'll post a thank you message to Wolves or whatever, but I don't think he'll get much of a response from Wolves fans, or he will, but he won't be very positive.
It'd be good to hear his side of the story if you fancy coming on podcast.
I think he would. I'll drop him we'll drop him a message.
Yeah, we can ask him. We'll see.
Yeah. Go on. He'll jump on it, mate. He will jump on it. He'll love it.
I think if he's been wronged, players are more likely to do it when they've been wronged, haven't they? Like Sace was really up for it.
Yeah.
He
Took him
couldn't
6
wait.
months to reply. It was really weird, but
Yeah,
I'll
but
take
then
it.
once we got in there, it was like, yeah, let's reveal all. He couldn't give a fuck, could he, Sace?
Yeah, he loved it.
Um, question here from JSL9. Do you think the Manetzi deal is too expensive? Now, I've seen conflicting reports today, or conflicting opinions from people saying he's absolutely wank, and other people saying that he's a bit of a a goal getter, a box crasher, a box to box midfielder.
I think again, neither of us have watched.
I've never seen him play.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Neither have seen. I've not even watched a highlight package or anything. I woke up at 4 a.m. this morning, and that was the first thing that came up on my phone because I fell asleep before the rumor had come out. So
Yeah, I did
would,
see that when the call up at 5. I saw that and I thought, someone's act us because no way he's awake at this time.
no, I woke up. But I think on the face of it, Wolves have probably overpaid. But twofold, really, I think when you at this stage of the window, you have to pay over the odds, especially when you want to fill a certain position. I think you have paid over the odds. I think he's a little bit older than the sort of normal player at Wolves would go for. It's interesting that we're like looking at Ligue 1 quite considerably because Danso would have made it free signings from Ligue 1 if that had come off. So it's an interesting market that we're looking at, but I don't know. It's so hard. It's so hard to say we've been ripped off or we've paid too much money until he's worn the Wolves shirt. I've seen so many Wolves fans write players off before. Raul Jimenez off a cameo in the World Cup before he'd even played for Wolves, and people saying, "What have we signed here?" And he was unbelievable for Wolves. I've seen it so much. So yeah, I think give him 5, 6, 7 games in the Wolves shirt, and then I think it'll be fair to have that conversation.
Pereira's asked for an athlete, hasn't he? Someone with energy. And from looking at some of the scouting reports I'd looked at today, and don't get me wrong, like I said, I've never seen him play. He does seem to be a sort of player who will give you that almost that Duracell bunny.
Yeah, I've just seen somebody in the comments. He says, again, I've not looked at his percentile, so I don't know. He's the worst possible percentage for passes completed around Europe. But that's not necessarily what Vitor wants in his game. He just wants an athlete in the midfield. And if this guy can run for 90 minutes, then fair enough. And that's what we saw on Saturday. If you've got people that want to run and want to, do everything for the football club, then you'll win more football matches. That's how Dave Edwards made a career. Baller.
Dangerous Dave.
Yeah.
Another box crasher.
Exactly.
Have you ever crashed into a box, Dave?
Next question.
Next question. Cool. Gonzalo's asked, do you think there's a way back for Sasha Kalidasic once he's fit?
Maybe, but I think he'll be unregistered personally. I think he'll be unregistered, and you might see him in some 21s games between now and the end of the season, but it'll be next summer before we see anything.
Mm-hmm. Another person who was linked was Josh Brown. We'll come on to him in a little while, but just whilst we're talking about Manetzi, um, the rumoured fees, what, 20 million euros?
Yeah, with all the add-ons, yeah.
Yeah, so what's the total spend in this window now? 20 for Agbadou, 20 for Manetzi,
10, well,
12,
10 million.
10
Yeah,
for,
12, yeah,
so circa 50 million pound.
yeah.
Do you think if we'd have gone to David Moyes and says, look, we give you the job, we give you 50 million to spend in January, you'd have took it?
Um, no, I think they would have wanted more. I think they would have wanted more.
But Everton
I,
haven't.
true, but I think he has an emotional connection with Everton anyway, and
Mm.
probably thinks he maybe the issue with Wolves was they had so much bad press as well, and that did not help us at all. And I think Everton have always been in a slightly better league position than us anyway. I know we were very close at some points, but I think because that emotional connection he had, he probably thought that he's got unfinished business there and he could do a job there.
Yeah. Yeah, Josh Brownhill, Dave, a player that I actually like. Don't be put off by the fact that he plays for Burnley in the Championship. I thought he was good in the Premier League too. Again, full of energy, really combative, and also a bit of a goal getter. But we seem to be linked with him pretty much every window. Wolves obviously like him, but it doesn't look like that's going to be happening this window. I don't think he'll even believe him, but he's out of contract in the summer, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have been against it. Again, I don't think he's the most attractive signing for Wolves, but I think him on a free or it depends because Burnley might be asking for something ridiculous between to end his contract early or to bring him over this month. You don't know, but I think a Josh Brownhill at between 5 and 10 million is possibly better business than without watching him Manetzi for 20 million. So I mean, it's hard to say, but um, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have been against it, but I think again, for whatever reason, there would have been a lot of dislike to this signing. I think.
Mm, mm. I think with Manetzi, he's going to need, even though he's 28, he's going to need a bit of time to settle, isn't he? So we'll
Yeah, yeah.
see. Do you think he could be a starter, or do you think he could be someone who's just using rotation? Because at 20 million euros, for me,
Well,
you'd
this
expect
is
him to come in and have a fairly big impact.
who would he start ahead of? I mean, you got João Gomez and Andre. I think you need energy and legs in there, so they'll be probably take it on a game by game basis, perhaps, or to help see out games. You got someone with a little bit more energy in there. I don't know, but yeah, I'll be intrigued by the back three situation as well because again, on paper, you look at Totti now. Every game he started under Vitor Pereira, we've won and kept a clean sheet in. So you got Totti, I think, walks in, Agbadou walks in, and then it's that third centre back spot. Doc's had some wobbles, but I think he's actually been okay the last two games. But you would assume Jigger comes straight into that back three. I think it's quite good timing that we've got Blackburn in the FA Cup this weekend as well, because I think he can start or at least give minutes to these guys to bed them in a little bit easier than if we were just chucking them straight into Liverpool at the weekend. So yeah, I'm intrigued by what he'll do, but I assume it'll be on a game by game basis. And
Mm,
what Connor's just said there, maybe a change in formation. With how stubborn Vitor was in his pre-match press conference on Friday, I don't think Wolves will change shape.
no, it'd be interesting to see how he fits them all in.
Mm-hmm.
Do you where does Boober and Tommy Doyle fit into this? I think it's quite clear that Pereira doesn't fancy Tommy Doyle, despite him being a bit of a model professional. But Boubacar, you'd say Doyle was over Boubacar, wouldn't you? But
Yeah, again, he made interesting comments about them in his pre-match press conference as well. He said that it sounded like a private chat with Tommy Doyle, and he rates his technical ability very highly, but he does not. It sounds like Tommy Doyle, as long as Vitor's here, isn't necessarily going to fit in to how Vitor plays football, because pretty much in that system he plays with 2 6s, doesn't he?
yeah,
He said that he sees Tommy Doyle as a number 8 or an 8 to 10, and I can't see Tommy Doyle as a 10 personally. Um, so for me, that probably when Jean-Ric Nabel got the nod ahead of him on Saturday, I think that says a lot. But then also, he seemed really upset that Boubacar Traore he had the flu last week. He seemed really upset about that. So I think Boubacar's probably got more of a chance long term, maybe at breaking into the team over Tommy Doyle, which is
he feels like he would, based on what he said about Doyle, he would favour Boubacar over him.
yeah. But then at the same time, I think Tommy's a great player to have because he has shown just in this season alone enough quality that he can change games. So at the end of the Man U game where he battled Garnacho off the ball and played a great ball towards Cunha and Hwang. The Brighton game is another one. So he has got that bite about him at times, but I think for 90 minutes, Vitor's probably right. He probably can't cope with the physicality. You know, you put him up against somebody like Ndiaye, for argument's sake, of Everton, or a big physical midfield. I do think he'd struggle.
Just a message that came in about 4 or 5 minutes
Villa,
ago.
sorry, Onana of Villa,
Yeah,
not Ndiaye, sorry.
Yeah. From Ray, said, sorry guys for saying this, but his father passed away on Friday and he's heartbroken, which is obviously incredibly sad to hear, Ray. Hope you're okay, mate. And yeah, we're all thinking of you. Yeah, so sorry to hear that, mate. I think as you've seen in the chat, a lot of people have responded to that, which is obviously a fantastic touch. Yeah, question for Matt and Dave: would you have taken Rashford on loan if he would have come to us at the end of the season? You know what?
I joked about it on last week's pod. I would have taken him all day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There was rumours. When was it? When we first went up into the Premier League?
When we were the first year we got.
What was the rumour now?
That Wolves made an offer to sign him because it was under Mourinho, and Rashford wasn't getting much of a sniff. So Wolves, obviously, this was prime Fosu, where they're dashing a bit of money at the team. They made, I'd assume, a speculative bid to bring Rashford in. But the year after, they started playing him, and he absolutely banged it that season, if I remember rightly. So, we moved to sign him. Would have been interesting.
You would have. How tall is the new guy? Manetsi's 6'2", the centre half 6'4", isn't he?
I think he's 6'2" as well.
No, I think he's bigger than that.
I searched it on. Well, we are trusting. I don't know, is it Wikipedia or whatever?
I think he's 6'4".
It says 6'2" there. That's the focus. The other bloke we were linked with, was it Christiansen from Udinese? He's 6'6".
Look at the size of that fucker.
I would have loved someone. Have we ever had anyone that? I mean, we've got Sasha and we've had Stefan Meyerhofer, but centre back wise,
I mean, I don't think Willy Bolly was far off him and Kilman. They're like 6'4", 6'5". I read earlier that he was 6'4", but
it's saying 6'1" on some pages. Yeah, so
I think it's complete.
He's young. He's a grown lad. He might be 6'4" by the time.
Get him on the spinach.
Yeah.
Let me just have a double check because I'm pretty sure I saw that earlier that he was 6'4". Yeah, I suppose we're only
what's 2 inches,
Exactly, mate. Exactly. It's what you do with it, really, isn't it? I mean, he might jump like someone 6'6", or he might jump like someone 5'6". So I'm sure you can, confirm that a couple of inches doesn't actually make that much difference.
I think a lot of our viewers I'd be glad to hear that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just having a look through some of the other questions. Adrian has said, I believe Vita was going for big, stronger players because at the back that's been our Achilles and somewhat midfield. Yeah, we said that at the start of the stream. Big fan of, in fact, it may have been the stream that we cancelled. I can't remember if it was this one. More about athletic players who can cover large spaces and be stronger. I think we've lacked that. I think we lacked that for quite a while, to be honest. He had it a little bit with Lemina last season. A bit of a, just run through players, but you look at the back five with like Bueno and Doc and even Kilman to a certain degree at some points where he's a bit powder puff.
Soft, yeah. I think it shows how much we've missed it when the last 2 games at Molineux, every time we win a slide tackle, the crowd goes absolutely ballistic. Agbadou did it against Arsenal. It was the loudest cheer of the game. And then against Villa, every time, like every 50-50 we won, the crowd was loving it. So I think it just shows. And that's why we haven't really touched on the game enough yet, but Sarabia was showing it. I've not seen that much fight and passion and desire from him in ages. Agbadou, Bellegarde, everyone just wanted to fight. And it showed. The atmosphere was flat at times, but it's probably the best atmosphere we've seen at Molineux, definitely this season anyway.
Yeah. I'm just having a look through some of the other questions. Sensei asks, what else is massive?
Here we go.
I don't know.
Someone's asked how tall we are. I prefer not to speak, to be honest.
Matt and how Matt
Hey,
and
Dave.
how tall are you? Matt and how tall are you?
I think I'm 5'9.5". 5'9". No, I would say I think I'm 5'10". Under 6 foot though, lady. Sorry.
You're 5 foot, 5 foot, 5'9". Is that two measurements or?
I've got the when I got my Timberlands on, when I got my Totty going with Rockports on, mate, I go up.
Yeah, but Bellegarde swapped his Rockports for Mercurials at the weekend, didn't he? He
Mate,
was superb.
serious performance.
I'm 6'2.5", probably closer to 6'3" than 6'2", but I'm a big bastard. Always believed in Bellegarde. It's amazing, isn't it, what like a game can do for someone's confidence and form, and like the general opinion on what they are. Because I think we've said on this podcast this season that I'm not even we're not even sure whether he's a footballer.
Yeah, he's just really struggled, hasn't he? I think he's had glimpses in a couple of games where he's shown a little bit of quality, but other than that, we just never. The way Wolves play counter-attacking, it does not suit Jean-Luc Bellegarde as a winger. So I think this was an intriguing experiment and test by Vitor, and it worked brilliantly on Saturday. There were a lot of people that sort of straight away was like, oh my God, what is this team? What are we doing? But I thought it worked brilliantly. And I think the energy that he has in the midfield, and notice, I'm not disregarding what João Gomez or even Tommy Doyle brings to that midfield, but Jean Rinkner does have that little bit more attacking bite to him. And that sort of running behind for the goal, great vision from Sarabia, but the running behind and the finish, I don't think João Gomez or Andre could do. So it adds something a bit different, and it gives Vitor an interesting selection headache now, I think, because with that sort of performance, maybe not for Blackburn, but can you drop him for Liverpool when he plays like that? João Gomez is available against Saturday. Maybe Jean Rickner will play Sunday, against Blackburn, but it'll be interesting to see.
Could he go 4-3-3?
He could, but like somebody asked earlier as well, but I would think the way he kept flexing for a midfielder, I thought he wants to drop to a midfield 3. But he was so stubborn about his system in the press conference, like I said, before the Villa game. He's like, no, this is my system. This is how we play. So maybe he'll stick 5 at the back still and go 5-3-2. I don't know. But by the sounds of it, I don't think he'll switch to a back 4.
Cameron said I need to come to the Flying Elephant Mixed Grill in Solihull. I've never actually heard of that. I don't think I've only been to Solihull in years. I'll have to have a peep at that. Ricky said, "Do you think we have signed enough and decent players enough to stay up?" Now, I still think that I still think we're going to go down because yes, the performance was fantastic against Villa, but we saw this against United. We saw it against Spurs. Is it a full storm? I don't want to flip-flop being like, after we beat the Villa, yeah, we'll stop up, and then we'll get pumped by Liverpool, but now we're going down, and then we'll beat someone else, yeah, we're staying. I'm being pessimistic to almost tamper my own expectations.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a long way to go. We've got to play all these teams, around us still. We've still got to play Leicester, Ipswich, Southampton. We've still got to play a lot of these teams. So, I think we've got enough, and I think just based on Saturday, it showed enough fight in that team. They have got the fight to compete. That's what we've been missing over the last 3 or 4 weeks. If they can show that again, even if it's just for another 4 or 5 games, we'll stay in the Premier League. But they've got to make sure they do it. And I just hope they've got the players in now. They've got players in that are going to want to prove a point. So hopefully it works in our favour.
What's your opinion on Gedge? You think he's shit, don't you?
I actually thought he played really well Saturday.
But what's your overall opinion?
I think it changed a lot on Saturday.
What is your overall opinion on Gonzalo Gedge?
No, genuinely has changed a lot since Saturday. It has changed. I know. No. I think when he broke back into the team,
broke back.
Yeah, when he got himself back into the Wolverhampton Wanderers starting 11, I thought he played. He had one good game, and then I thought Leicester was good, and then other than that, I felt he's been really underwhelming, and people just seem to always put him like in the starting lineup. But I thought on Saturday, I thought he would struggle. But through the middle, he used his body really well. He got him behind really well. He just missing that final touch, the finish, which I think he was really unlucky. But I think in terms of work rate, for a player that supposedly didn't want to be here 6 months ago, I think it's a hell of a change, really.
He still doesn't want to be here, does he? Let's face it.
Yeah.
Connor said it's a real shame Forbes hasn't been given a chance.
I think there's a reason ultimately why two managers don't want to give him a look in, because I just don't think he's. I really want it to work. I just don't think he's clearly not very good, which is a worry when he was meant to be Pedro Neto's replacement.
I remember when I did the transfer podcast with Joe, and he said like what a stupid bit of business it was. But I think that goes to show that not always the statistics prove what sort of player you're getting. And to be fair to Forbes, I think he's cack. He's not been given tons of opportunity, has he? I mean, there's been games where we've got like 5 or 10 minutes to go, and someone else has been brought on for, or like a player. You think, why have they not been brought on when you got Forbes there? So I think, like you said, Dave, it shows something that two managers haven't fancied him at all. I think the Brentford away game, when we got pumped, I thought he looked okay in that, but apart from that,
I wonder if because it sounds like to buy him, he has to start a certain amount of games. Now, I would be intrigued if that's overall starts or if that's just Premier League starts. Because if it is just overall if it's just Premier League, for me, you should give him the opportunity on Sunday. I don't think he will, because he didn't even get. Did he come on against Bristol City? If he did, he didn't get very long. So that was, it's telling for me. But it's a shame because he's a young lad. Obviously got some sort of quality, off the shoulder of a defender. You laugh him, but it's a shame that almost his growth as a player is going to have been stunted for the last 12 months if it looks like he's going to stay.
Not necessarily hinting at attitude problems. Me and Dave have had a chat a few times about his attitude. And I just think it's arrogance, isn't it, with you, Dave? That you haven't got an attitude problem. But
me?
Yeah, yes. No, it's we're not hinting with attitude problems.
No, we don't know. Genuinely,
No. Just managers haven't fancied him because he's shit.
Yeah, I think that is as well.
Yeah. Let's have a look at some more questions. We'll be coming off the stream in the next 10 or 15 minutes anyway. Signing Hobbs or Vitor Pereira. It's funny, Express has done a lot of coverage over the last month or so. The best coverage was at Stamford Bridge in the form of an oddly shaped tweet, but we won't go into that any further. But they have said that Vitor Pereira has been very, very, very fussy about signings this season. He's turned a lot of players down, apparently.
Oh, wow. I've been intrigued to hear some of the players that we've been linked to.
Yeah. They normally come out in the wash, don't they, after a couple of months? Unless we can ask our friends at Express and Star if they can divulge any information, or whether you can speak to anyone at Wolves about it.
I don't think they'll say much to me anyway.
No. So they probably are Hobbs signings, aren't they, in terms of Hobbs is bringing it to the table, but ultimately, if Pereira doesn't want them.
Apparently, Wolves, it's just come out. Wolves had a £12.5 million rejected for that Thomas Christensen today.
Centre half?
Yeah, this afternoon. Why would we bring him in as well as Juvelad? That's from Mail Sport. So, interesting. Don't know.
Judas just tweeted, in terms of squad list, they will need to be sent next week for non-homegrown. So Agbadu, Ujiga and Manetzi would replace Mosquera, Lemina and potentially Sasha Klajdzic as the unlucky third player, which I think is sensible because he's not going to have much of an impact at all this season.
Well, he's still not fit now. You take it, it's such a nasty injury. To get up to match sharpness, you're going to be looking middle to end of March. So no point really, and he's got to understand that really as well.
See that Tottenham are after the Maxime Esteve.
The right back?
No, the centre half at Burnley.
Oh yeah. We were linked with him before, weren't we?
Yeah, just having a look see if there's any more news out there before we go on to some more questions. Is Connor Cody coming back, or is that lies? There was a genuine possibility earlier in the day, the swap deal with Dorsinio, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen now. Sasa probably needs time. Ajax fans did warn us. Talking of Ajax, did you see the Jordan Henderson press conference?
I saw it pop up. I've not watched it though. What was that about?
It's
What's
mad.
this?
So he'd been linked with Monaco, hadn't he, the past couple of weeks?
Yeah.
And I actually trying to negotiate with Monaco, and the journalists had been writing in the papers that he didn't want to play and whatnot. So he's staying at Ajax. So they're like 3 points off top with a game in hand, or 2 points off top. They've really turned it around after last season. He has been playing. But basically, the journalists are writing a load of shit. So we did the post-match press conference and not stuck it on him.
Fair play.
Yeah, fair play to him. What did I know? Expressing Star is a comment. They get stick, but they're the only ones who cover the club on a day-to-day basis that isn't like fan-led media. So they know a lot more than most of the other journalists out there.
I think
Whether you like the
of them.
content,
I think the reliability of them is bang on as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Santi Bueno gone apparently. I don't think so. It seems to be a bit of a shift though, Dave, in terms of scouting South America now to Liga.
yeah, I know it's interesting. I think some of the players in Brazil, we were linked with some earlier in January, weren't we? Rios and Gerson,
Yeah.
they would have been good signings. So it's interesting that shift, that they've come away from that. I don't know why that would be. Maybe they feel that this stage of the season, the French league is maybe closer to what the Premier League is in terms of quality and, the physicality that you need. So, yeah, but it wouldn't surprise me to see that shift back towards South America maybe coming into the summer.
Great. The Henderson interview was hilarious. Just trying to get a few more questions in before we dip off. Right then, mate. Fosun. Let's talk Fosun. Certainly, in my opinion, not out of the woods.
No, definitely
even though
not.
they spent a lot of money, I still think that they're mostly to blame for all of this mess that we're in. And if you sustain investment, not just try and break even, you don't have to go and spend 50, 60 million in January or 100 million in January. You just have to
Yeah.
top yourself up. And now they're in a position again now where they've spent 50 million in Jan, and we're probably going to have it in the knackers next season because of it.
I said on my video, I think regardless of whether Wolves are still in the Premier League or whether we go down to the Championship, there has to be a conversation about their ownership, whether that's moving Jeff Shee on and getting somebody, a different person in charge, or whether they need to look at selling the club permanently. Because at the moment, I just don't think their ownership is good enough for a team that want to, push on in the Premier League. We're going backwards. We will finish in the bottom six. I'm fairly certain of it. That'll be the first time, believe it or not, since we've been promoted that we will finish in the bottom six of the Premier League. So that's a little bit of a concern because we have just simply since Nuno just gone down and down and down and just not, just not been performing well enough. And I think a lot of it is to do with the, pricing fans out is one thing. I think there was a lot of negativity before the ball's even kicked this season. They've wound a lot of managers up. There's no coincidence that Nuno ultimately got peed off. Bruno Lage, Gary O'Neill, Lopetegui, they all got wound up, and the common denominator, unfortunately, is Fosun. So I think there are serious conversations that need to be had. It will be interesting come the summer if they stick to their word in regards to season ticket prices as well.
It'll be a small increase.
Well, Jeff Shee reckons they wouldn't have gone up. They're not going to have gone up.
He said it will freeze for a small increase. So what that means is a small increase.
Yeah, that's going to be the case then.
I don't think getting rid of Jeff changes anything, mate. Don't get me wrong. I think as someone, as an outward communicator for the club, I think Matt Hobbs took on more of the mantle this season. I think he's very, very poor, albeit his second language, but still very poor. If that's the case, if it is your second language and you're not confident, don't release columns in the local paper talking bollocks about atoms and whatnot. Because all it does, it takes a piss out of the fans. It rubs fans up the wrong way, and if anything, it just creates more division. So
Yeah.
I'll let people into a little bit of a secret actually. So I was interviewed by Wolves a few years ago now for a position in the because I work in marketing. It was a marketing role. quite a senior one. I didn't get it in the end. They didn't offer me a job, which is fair enough. But within that role, they had identified that they needed a spokesperson in the club, someone who can talk to fans because they recognised that the relationship between fans and the club was in tatters. And this was just as Lopetegui was coming in actually.
Yeah.
And they wanted, if I was to get the role, me to do it. So they know that there's an issue there, but it just hasn't been fixed, has it? It's
No,
got worse.
it's the exact same. I think the comms in terms of like when we sign players and stuff like that is a lot better. Like a reasoning behind them, this, and this. But in general, like day to day, look, I'm not expecting Ward or Jeff Shee to release a weekly statement. Of course not. But you know, sometimes you need reassuring, or sometimes you want to know what path the football club are going down, especially when you're spending so much money on them. So, yeah, that we've missed out. I know it's easy. You know, everyone mentions Laurie Darwin, Paul, and you know people like that. You know, things have been a little bit bitter since then. But yeah, they need. I think it needs fresh eyes on the football club. Really, Fosun have had bids and rejected bids for the club, so you know they clearly want to stay, but they just got to show that a little bit more. I think.
The thing is, not many clubs turn a profit in the Premier League. I think it was like 3 or 4 in the last financial year. United being one, global powerhouse. I think Brentford may have. I think Brighton may have as well. But it strikes me that Brentford and Brighton almost run that self-sustaining model, or even though Brighton went and dropped like 150 million in the last window. But they seem to be run by consummate professionals. Whereas, as you've seen today, going in for the likes of Connor Cody, that was never the plan. It was never ever the plan. I mean, I was behind it, but it screamed desperation.
Yeah.
I don't think we're run smartly enough to be able to do the self-sustaining model. I think it's virtually impossible to do it now in the Premier League. Um, Football isn't a money-making business. If you come into a profit-making business, if you come into football to make profit, you're in the wrong industry.
Mm. No, I
So
no, I agree. Like long term, you will. I think you look at. Be interested to see by the end of like when they set like obviously they bought the club, they put a lot of money into the club. By the time they sell the club, if they would break even or if they make a profit or make money, I don't know. It'll probably be quite close, but um, they need something needs to happen, and they either need to book up their ideas and fast and show fans quite quickly that they care about the club. But I think unfortunately, I think the damage has been done.
it
I think
100% is, and I I feel extremely detached from the football club, and I guess some of that is driven by results, but I don't really recognise my club anymore under the current ownership.
can I flag this up because this is obviously a comment that like I see a lot. I want to say based on what, genuinely based on what, because it's obvious that Fosun are not allowing the club funds, and the recruitment team funds. So why does Matt Hobbs always get grouped in with the ownership of the club? Like genuinely,
Uh,
that's all I want to know anyway.
the culture at the club as well, from people that I know have worked there and have left in recent times, and that's not gem free because I don't know before people say it. The culture at Molineux isn't very good.
I think it's a bit of a boys' club to coin a phrase. I think
Mm.
it is. It's almost who you know, not what you
I
know.
know people who've
Sometimes,
worked
but
in other departments who've taken lesser jobs because they just don't like working for the club or the way it's
yeah,
run. Well, for me, that stems from the top really.
yeah, no, definitely, no, I
Um,
agree 100%.
but
Yeah,
yeah, for me, I I think that if they need to sell up or they need to approach it differently. Um, you have to keep investing. Like I said, you need to. You're not going to self-sustain and get it right every single time, as we've seen this season. Look at the players we brought in. Um, Pedro Lima, one for the future. Andre has been good. I don't think anything better than that. Strand Larson started really well. Obviously injured now, but in got Carlos Forbes, Rodrigo Gomez. These are players that you might in 2 or 3 years be like, what a signing that is. But when you lose Max Kilman and you lose Pedro Neto, who would probably start for most teams in the top 10, and replace them with those players, those replacements should have been in 2 windows before. so they're ready and waiting. They've integrated and they're ready to go. That's where the issue is. I don't mind self-sustaining if you invest it properly and do it properly as a long-term focus. So Cunha goes in the summer, mate.
Yeah.
Who in this squad right now that they've brought in is potentially ready to mature into a type of player in 6-12 months' time?
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I think with the Cunha thing, I mean, it may surprise us. You know, Ruben Neves did the same. You know, Cunha signed a new deal and Neves stayed a lot longer than what we expected. I think for like 2 or 3 years, we probably thought Neves was going to move on. But you know, if Fosun change the way they want to approach things and they really want to strengthen the club, every chance that Cunha stays. But it's difficult. I think there are a lot of clubs that have been run well will have a pre-made or ready-made replacement, you know, as an understudy to Cunha.
And you ain't always going to get it right. Like, no club gets 100% hit rate, but...
Yeah. Someone said Fabio Silva, Nathan Fraser. Yeah. Fabio will be gone. But I think they may strike lucky with Fabio. I don't think they'll get every single penny back, but I think they'll make a good chunk of that back come the summer.
I'm not sure. I reckon you might get like 12 million for him.
Nah, I think you get more, you know, genuinely.
How much you think?
Closer to 20, I think.
Mate, but if he carries on, then
depends on his form second half of the season. But
yeah. Do you think if you had a 45,000 seat stadium, we'd sell out? No, not at the minute. Ticket prices are too high.
Do we ever sell out? We may sell out, but it wouldn't be on a regular basis. Not when you're lurking sort of bottom half of the Premier League.
Not when you're not selling out games now in a 31,000 seat stadium.
Yeah.
No, you'd have to be challenging for top 4 every season to get an extra 15,000 in there.
Yeah, I agree.
Which includes new stadium investment. Top 4 would mean investment. So I think we can strike that one off. I'm going to end it there. If that's
perfect, yeah.
If that's all right with you, mate, just done over an hour. So, in terms of deadline day business, it's pretty much nailed on that there isn't going to be any more business apart from Munetsi and Giga from Red Star Belgrade, and where's he? Munetsi from?
Reims, however you say it.
It's the same club as
Agbadu, yeah.
Agbadu, Rans. Is how you pronounce it somehow. I'm not sure how. Lemina looks like he's on his way out to Turkey, and I think that's probably going to be it, isn't it, Dave?
Mm-hmm. Maybe 1 or 2 loans. Maybe there's been a couple of young lads that have come back that haven't gone out on loan yet, but there's been no news on any of those. So
yeah. But yeah, until next time, have a wonderful rest of the week. Enjoy Blackburn to those who are going on Sunday. Another crap kick-off time. If it was on a Saturday, I would have gone. I was really looking forward to it, but at that time on a Sunday,
I'm going Sunday. It works well for me because I don't have to book work off, so I'm quite lucky with that. But
yeah. From April though, I won't be working Mondays, which is a bonus. But I'll still be working, but not my actual job. So might be able to do a couple more games if that's the case. But yeah. Until next time, thanks for watching. All those that have, thanks for interacting. Thanks for the flowers there. Thanks for the retweet. Thank you. But yeah, I've enjoyed doing a live stream. Perhaps we should do it a bit more often.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to watch it back on YouTube, you'll be able to watch it back from the start. And if you obviously regularly listen on Spotify and Apple and stuff, we'll get that out as well. Great podcast.
He loves it. He absolutely loves it. But yeah, it will be on Spotify for those who, well, if you got to this point, you would have known it's on Spotify. But yeah, thanks for all the comments. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And yeah, look after yourselves. Take care.
Sweet.
Oh. Right then, mate. I'm just going to shoot off.